Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of the Mastering Retention Podcast. Today, we have a really special episode. So, I know many of you are aspiring entrepreneurs. And in fact, I think pretty much everyone that works in games has always had this dream of kind of starting their own studio and, having that full creative vision over whatever they're making. Um, but a lot of people are very intimidated when it comes to, how do I raise money? How do I get started? How do I figure out what to actually work on? And even folks that are in the trenches actually doing those things, I think sometimes it's very easy to pick the wrong game, pick the wrong genre, pick the wrong platform. There's, just so many things that can, go wrong. So today we actually have a few of the My Game guys on podcast with us, and we're going to just be going into all those different types of questions of how do you actually raise money in today's world where seems like nobody's able to raise money. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So we have Dmitry Byshonkov and Anton Gorodesky, which hopefully I got close.
Awesome.
But Anton, would you like to just kind of tell us your story? Like,
Sure.
how'd you get into gaming? How'd you get to where you are? What are you working on today?
Sure. Absolutely. First of all, Tom, thank you so much for having us. Me and Dima, a huge honor. I've been hearing about your podcast for quite a while, and super excited to be here. And really, as with any other podcast that I'm, invited to and asked to be in, I'm always feeling super nervous and not really worthy because all the other guests that I'm listening to constantly on these podcasts, like, are so way smarter than me. And I'm like, yeah, this will be the worst episode. And this is why I have Dima today, because he's way smarter than I am. Yeah. So, I am the head of industry relations at MyGames, and, I've been doing this for pretty much a year now, which means that I do a little bit of biz dev, a little bit of communications, a little bit of events, and a little bit of, investment, thing as well, like helping out the investment, arm of MyGames. And apart from that, I'm the co-founder of InvestGame, and this is no secret. Like, no one's gonna hopefully fire me for saying that. But yeah, and what we do is we do basically two things. The one being we have weekly digests dissecting all the deals that happened on the week before. And the second thing is the quarterly reports dedicated to global gaming deals. Like, we analyze the private investments, the M&As, public offerings, which are none this year, pretty much. And we've recently done the half of the year report, and Dima knows about it as well. And he's going to tell a little bit about that later. And it's high time we've done the third quarter report, actually, because the third quarter is done. But we're we have no time always and super lazy. So it's going to be later. Thank you.
Can't believe how fast like the third quarter went. Like it's October already. I'm like,
yeah,
what happened to September and stuff? So
that's
getting
crazy.
caught up. Dmitry, what's your story? How'd you get into gaming? How'd you get into where you are today?
Yeah. Hey, everyone. First of all, want to thanks to having us here and for the invitation. And for me, I've been a gamer for the whole my life, actually. And I started as a journalist. I was writing about PlayStation games. And then I moved to the game development. I've been a game designer. I've been a producer in a small indie companies. And after maybe 20 or 30 spreadsheets when I was creating a balance, I understood, okay, probably I'm not a game designer. It's pretty hard to make a balance in games. It's pretty hard to make, to make games. But I always liked the business side, and I worked as a conference side of things. So I've been on the business development side for a conference for video games. And then I moved to the business development at MyGames, actually. And I'm responsible for pretty much all business development activities. So working with our in-house studios, working with strategic partnerships, and working with our investment department as well. Also, as for side hustle for interesting things, I'm an author of Game Dev Reports newsletter. So basically, I'm covering on a daily basis interesting numbers, reports, and everything from the game industry. So I think I do by myself, and then was thinking, so, okay, maybe someone needed and happy to share it. So yeah, that's me.
That's great. So you still get to exercise those journalist writing skills a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. So I'm going to dive right in. I mean, at the end of the day, I think what everyone is kind of wondering is like, what are VCs looking for today for, in founders when they're, actually making investments. But maybe Anton, we can start with just like the most recent Invest Game report. I realize maybe we're not quite at the Q3 report, but like looking at the Q3 one, a lot of the metrics that I'm looking at are pretty scary. Like I look at all this investment that was going in like 2021 into 2022, and now it's just like tank. So, looking at these metrics, like how should we be interpreting these in terms of like, can I go and raise money today or?
Sure. Absolutely. I just wanted to say that I'm a big fan of what Dima does with the game dev reports because while you are very much deep into making the global gaming deals report every quarter. And you're absolutely right that time runs so fast because we've just done the half of the year report and it's already time to do the third quarter. And it's always a pain in the A. And anyway, I'm super thankful to Dima because he does the best reviews of what we do afterwards. So I don't have to. But anyway, yeah, you're kind of right. Like, this whole year has been not so great for it definitely has not been as great as 2021 when the whole industry was like booming and everybody was giving money, right away, literally. And, yeah, so pretty much every kind of, every section of the deal, of the possible deals are down, like private investments. You may check out it on the InvestGame website, the first half of the year report. And so they decreased by 81%. I mean, the volume of the private investments compared to the same period of the previous year. So the whole deal count was just $1.5 billion compared to $7.6 billion. And then the number of the deals decreased from 316 in the first half of 2022 to 239. So you can imagine not only the deal count has dropped, not only the number of the deals has dropped, but also the median point of the deal has also got down. And then, as I've said earlier, there were pretty much no public offerings at all because, it was pretty much dead. The whole market was dead. And, M&As happen because strategic investors still have lots and lots of dry powder and, the company valuations are down. And so, we've seen the Scopely deal. We've seen the Rovio deal. We're still looking at the Activision Blizzard King deal, which is apparently happening after all. But anyway, the whole idea is that, we're seeing some kind of correction on the market. I would not say that it's like all super green and everything is down. It's just what you kind of should have expected after the crazy growth and the crazy numbers of 2020 and 2021. So it's a little bit of correction, a little bit of both, a little bit of correction, a little bit of, the macroeconomic things happening all around and challenges. And as Dima has mentioned earlier, all these, letting go of lots and lots of stuff in the gaming companies. This is all a complex thing. Yeah, basically.
Yeah. And I also want to add that from my perspective, what's happened when there was, a hype on the gaming market in 2020, 2021, we've seen a lot of non-institutional investors to go into the market, throwing money away. And they were thinking that creating games, it's an easy thing. So you can easily just pour money in there and get, financial results. But it's not happening. It's a hard and tough job to do. You need to have a great team. You need to have a great game. You need to have a great market positioning. So there are a lot of stuff where you can make a mistake. So I think that's also one of the reasons why the market is actually getting back to normal. I wouldn't say that it's going down somewhere. If you will compare it to 2019, maybe 2018, I think it's more or less the same numbers. So it went from through the hype actually, and now getting back to normal. So I think that should be the approach.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one more thing would be that there's lots and lots of dry powder from venture capital guys, right? But the thing is, gaming is not venture kind of business per se, because you see all these huge numbers. And as Dima has said, all the institutional investors are like, we're seeing huge growth numbers at the market, like the revenues, the downloads, the MAUs, the DAUs, everything has been on the rise. And they were like, we should get in there, and get some access. And then when you start digging in, you see that when you start dissecting the subgenres and platforms and lots of nuances, and understanding that making a hit game is increasingly hard for the last couple of years, especially, even longer, really. And then to make sure that your game can engage people and great retention numbers, this is very hard. And as soon as lots and lots of newcomers started getting into making games, people started understanding that it's not that big of a thing, really.
Yeah, and also I think we've seen much less follow-up investment, because when you was investing in 2020 and 2021, valuation was, I would say, overpriced. Everyone was going in there, pouring money, increasing valuations. But what you should always think about when you're, getting money, when you're getting around it, you either will have a next one. So you need to keep a balance between your valuation and you could have thoughts about how will the next round look like, or you should get with this round to the moment where you start earning money and where you can feed your team, where you can be, in operation zero at least. So at the break-even point. And that's what I think many companies and many game developers, maybe they do think about it, but when, everyone is on hype, it's pretty easy to forget about it.
Yeah. So, Anton, you talked about platforms as well as other nuances that are, important to go into. So let's talk a little hypothetical. Like, let's say I've decided to start a studio today.
Right.
And I've convinced you two to join me for whatever reason. We're going to be co-founders. What are your thoughts on the platforms that we should be looking at? I mean, there's so many to choose from. Some of them, like we've heard, the massive success stories, but, anytime you have that, there's always that, survivorship going on in there. I mean, we've got the more user generated content platforms like, UEFN. I don't really like that acronym, but, Fortnite Creator, Roblox. And then of course we've got mobile, which has been, the dominant thing up until IDFA. We still have PC, we still have console. There's still some, bold people going after VR. Even there's web and other things that are out there. How would you approach, choosing a platform for our new studio coming from the investor side of like what you guys are looking at, what you've seen work, what you've seen not work?
Yeah, thank you. Since this is a hypothetical situation, I would probably have to say that, it's a shitty thing to do to answer a question with a question, but I'd rather look at what expertise and what experience you as a team and you as a founder or a co-founder have beforehand, right? Like every platform and every niche and every subgenre have their own nuances and have their own pros and cons. Like, as you have said, mobile is a super red market. Of course, it's the biggest share of the market, right? But still, the more popular it is and the bigger it is, the more players it has, right? So you're definitely going to have way more competition on mobile. especially on, I don't know, match games, right? Or, shooters, mobile shooters, for example, than say on Roblox, maybe, or the Fortnite platform, like that acronym that you used earlier. But do you have the relevant experience to make a game, not on mobile, but on the platform, on the UGC platform, right? And then you have to take into account the 70 something percent commission. Don't quote me on that, but the 70 something commission on Roblox, right? Are you ready for that? Instead of the 30% commission on mobile stores. But then uh, you're thinking, so I'm going to go mobile because mobile is the biggest platform, right? And has the biggest reach out there. But then do you know, and do you have what it takes to make a proper marketing for your mobile game? Because if you rely on just organics, you're probably not going to get there at all. Like, as there's, the survival bias goes, we always hear about the Royal Match success, right? Like about the Dream Games thing. But then nobody really tells you about all those Match 3 studios who have perished trying to create a hit game. And that's incredibly hard. And then
And our runtime fee is something that you should pay.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. The Unity thing, and then you have PC and console, and you may think that making a PC/console game is a little bit easier on one hand, right? Like you just have 2 to 3 platforms uh, to market your game, and then you gotta know and you gotta learn how to work with influencers, with streamers if you're going with the PC game. And then you got to know how to work with PlayStation and Microsoft when you're making a console game. And then do you really want to concentrate on making a console only game? So there's a lot of nuances. So I'd rather.
Here's the question. You're talking about like strengths and things of like the background. Let's say I come from mobile and I have a strong background in mobile, got in 2014, 2015. We had a few games that, shot up because that was pre-IDFA and we were able to just like get that niche audience, whatnot. I'm struggling now because I can't do that IDFA stuff, but I still understand that performance marketing type thing. Do you think there's an opportunity for like a team like that to be like, okay, well, we know how to make a great free to play game. We know how to monetize it. We just can't get people in on mobile. Could we replicate a game on PC? We realize there's probably some things that we have to learn with Steam, but there's like not that strict IDFA type thing. So, could we take that performance marketing skill set and utilize that over on like a Steam marketplace to try to, drive users in or something like that?
That partially depends upon the subgenre that you've been working on before. Like, yeah, I mean, you can do this theoretically, and then you got to think of all the nuances again. Like, what type of game have you been making before? How did you get to success back in 2015, for example? Like, was it a Forex strategy or was it a match 3 title? And then you got to think about how you're going to adapt this one, and then how do those subgenres feel on Steam, or I don't know, EGS maybe. So maybe Dima, yeah.
Yeah, maybe we can do a little bit of step back and answer ourselves why we are creating a company and why we're creating a game actually. So what we do want to achieve? Do we want to achieve a financial success? Do we want to create a game of our dreams? So what's the reason behind this? And it helps to answer where to go.
Well, and actually, as we're taking a step back here, what about co-founders? So you talked about like the experience and stuff that you want. So let's pretend that I've fired you two and I'm back to myself.
Okay.
And I've decided that I want to go after, I don't know, Unity creative experience, UEFN. What do you think I need to look for in a co-founding team to be able to do those? Like, what should I look for in a co-founder from an investor perspective? Like, what do you want to see in a set of co-founders? What skills do you want to see? What backgrounds, et cetera?
Ideal world, you need a tech person, you need a marketing person, you need a product person, you need an administrative person that will be able to run, all the business things and stuff. Anton, have I forgot about anyone?
No, absolutely. I mean, you have to have a proper CTO who will take care of all the background and who will make sure that your game can stand scaling and new audience. And then
For people that maybe haven't worked with, a person like that, like what does a proper CTO mean? Like what sort of skill set would you expect them to have or, things they've done in the past?
right,
Yeah,
okay,
I think I can answer this. So if you're developing a single player game, for example, so this should be a person that haven't some released games before that was creating a tech infrastructure for the game. If we're speaking about the multiplayer game, so definitely it should be a person who worked with the servers, who set it up the infrastructure. It might have been, a live out project or something development. So the person should understand how people will be able to play the game in a multiplayer, how it might be scaled, what kind of backend solutions is there, and so on and so forth. So basically, I think if we will generalize everything, experience of leading or release titles for each category, either it's a single player or a multiplayer.
yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. And then the marketing, like I'm pretty sure that it's very rare for a team to have an ideal set of co-founders, the one Dima has mentioned beforehand.
Never seen it. I think never see one.
Yeah, well, and then if you don't have that, then I would say the tech guy, definitely one of the co-founders should be the CDO, and for example, Invest Game is not a game really; it's not a game product, but CDO is the person who's been helping us out all the way, like all these 2 years. He's been saving sometimes our lives. I mean, the life of the project, really. Taking care of, email service and whatever. And then, hostings. And then, the marketing / product guy, maybe combining the skill set, definitely you're going to miss out on something. Absolutely. But if you don't have a perfect set, then I would say you should combine the marketing and administrative guy, and then the product or / marketing or product / CTO guy, something like that, like a combination of 2 or 3 people.
Makes
Yeah,
sense.
and also one thing is probably you need 3 or 5 or 7 even people. So you shouldn't have a situation where there will be 50-50 division in opinions actually, because it will probably there might be a situation where all the conversation, really important ones, will be really, but where 2 people, for example, will be, for one solution, 2 people for another one, and the founding team won't be able to do a solution. So that's a big problem. So founders, they should have uneven kind of votes, or there should be uneven amount of founders. So from my perspective, it just makes lives easier. So
Yeah.
democracy stuff.
And also, absolutely. And also one more thing, please never, ever mention the combined number of years in the industry on your pitch decks. Like saying things like we have a combined of 100 plus years making games is, just doesn't cut it really. Like that's not a proper mathematics.
Love it. Okay. So let's say I found the perfect founding team. And we've, made a game and we now want to start going out and raising. Like, can you talk to me about the different KPIs that you are look for from a VC standpoint for pre-seed to seed to Series A? Like, where would I need to be in order to be able to actually raise those rounds?
I think for a pre-seed, all that matters is the team, and that's core component. And I think second priority will be an idea and overall concept for the game you're creating. Speaking about the seed stage, obviously you should have, like, obviously from our perspective, not obviously from our perspective. You should have something to show already, a prototype, MVPs, or something we can play actually. If we're speaking about later stages, definitely there should be first metrics. If we're speaking about play or we're speaking about mobile, or it should be a vertical slice with a sufficient amount of content if we're speaking about the premium game actually.
Yeah. Are there like, obviously pre-seed's usually before the game, but seed, there's at least something there. Like, are there early signs that you guys are seeing that there's successful startup execution for that kind of seed stage, startup?
What do you think?
That's a great question actually.
Um, so once again, what would be the green flag to make a seed round for the team, right? Do I get it? Do I get? All right.
Yeah, if this is a question, what will be a green flag? So a green flag will be a game that is interesting to play, and that's first and foremost. Probably the developer will be able to have some preliminary metrics. So if we're speaking about mobile, so retention day 1, day 3, day 7, maybe some monetization numbers. So we will be able to check early errors already. We will be able to do some tests, for a game. Uh, it it isn't working the same way for a premium game because basically you have only one shot there. Okay, it's you with an early access, but I haven't seen any cases when early access game failed and then it went as a Phoenix at the global release. Then we're like, maybe No Man's Sky actually, which was quite bad at the release, and then kind of boomed after with the great live ops. Yeah, returning back to the seed for mobile product, preliminary metrics, know-how actually, and an understanding of how to disrupt the market. I think that also makes sense. So if the founder will be able to explain how the team will enter the market and how the team will conquer it, actually, it will be a great advantage. So it shouldn't be, we're creating a clone of some popular game. Like we've seen so many Vampire Survivors clones and all kind of variations right now. And that's not working from my perspective. Like you can go to Steam and see how many Vampire Survivors clones are there. And there are very few of them that are earning money. So yeah, the idea should be, if not unique, at least unique executed.
The very fact that we are speaking hypothetically here is probably one of the reasons that we've recently shifted the focus of investments on our own and not doing like a lot of pre-seed and seeds. Because Dima is absolutely right. And I also want to add that sometimes you just get the feeling like we're in a call, whenever you're on a call and look, there've been cases of both free to play and premium games when you just know that a person would deliver on the promises. There's never 100% guarantee that the game will become a hit, right? But then you just know that sometimes a person knows what he's doing or the team knows what they're doing. And then on the other hand, you sometimes look at the team may have a playable build, and then they have some kind of a vision, and it's not easy already. But then you just know that they have no proper idea of what they're doing. They have no idea of the subgenre niche and what are the hits and how they're going to handle them, right? So, and they may say things like, I don't want to be specific, just, not to offend anyone, but they may say things like, we're going to take on PUBG or, I don't know, Garena or whatever mobile battle royale, right? And there's a team of 2 or 3 people. And they're like, we can do this because of whatever, really, like one USP, and it's not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Never going to work. It may work like 1 in 100 cases. So you just know this thing sometimes. There's nothing. It may have nothing to do, may have not anything to do with metrics or, KPIs. It's just the vision, really. So yeah, it's tough. It's tough out there these days. And, as we often, joke around, like, actually, was it your joke? I don't know, Dima, but anyway, I'm going to tell it. Sorry. Like the best time to make an investment, to get an investment was like a couple of years ago, really. You still can do this. You still can do this. Absolutely. But it's way tougher. And this is one of the reasons.
So maybe flipping out of hypothetical here, and you don't have to name names if you don't want to, but, can you tell me a little bit about like a recent investment that you made? Like, why did you guys choose to make that investment?
So I think we can tell about the particular one, about the Briathon that we just recently this summer did. So why we did this investment? Because the overall niche is interesting. We have no experience there in a skill-based gaming. It's pretty hard to move in there because you need to set up, a specific legal entity. You need to mm, do all the payment ecosystem because that's that kind of games where people they play for the real money actually. So they deposit their money, they get back their money, and it's pretty hard, just to start as an R&D process because it requires a lot. And we spoke with Leo, and Leo is a fantastic guy. I would say that's kind of founder you can dream about. So he's a business focused. He know a lot about the product. He know about the niche and why he's going there. They already had the preliminary metrics, which were very promising, and they had a beautiful team to develop the game actually and to release it. And yeah, I think that's the answer. So why we did this investor? So the first one, very interesting niche, and interesting niche where hard to get. Second one, great founder, beautiful team, and preliminary metrics. So 4 points here. So I think that's a great example of what kind of early investors we were getting right now. The ones that are this close.
Yeah. No, bring it on is great. And we actually started working with them recently too. And they kind of came to us and they're like, hey, we've got these great metrics. This is where we're kind of going. Will you go on the journey with us? And here's all the stuff we want to do from like a live ops perspective. And it kind of blew me away. I was like, I hadn't really considered all the possibilities of what could be done from a live ops perspective, like in a skill-based game, but like they wanted to do all these things that weren't even out there before. And it just kind of blew me away. So I totally get that of like, hey, a founder that knows how to execute and where they're going, they can just kind of sell that story and kind of just draw you into it. So I get it.
Nice.
Yeah. He sold us the idea actually, because before meeting with Leo, we we knew about the skill base, but we had no idea how much perspective lies in there. And after, conversation with the Leo after this investment, where you really went to quite deep consideration about the niche. So
We've never,
that's interesting.
yeah, sorry. We've never done something like that before, have we?
Yeah.
As far as
Yeah,
I know,
absolutely.
never.
Yeah. That's quite a unique investment for us.
But that's just another argument for being no tunnel vision, right? Because one of the things that founders do is that they create games of their dream. And we've been doing some events this year, of course, thank God, finally. And we have often seen founders who are pitching you a game that is the game they always wanted to play since their childhood. And whatever, PC premium or mobile free to play or whatever. And they're just pitching you a game with like, they have a vision. Yeah, for sure. And, they love what they do, which is cool, which is good, but that's not enough. Once again, you have to also understand how the niche looks, how the subgenre looks, who are the leaders, what are the dynamics there, who's on the rise, who's on the fall. And then they just make games which may be consciously or subconsciously just clones of what's already, with no USPs whatsoever. And they may not even know about it. They just want to play a game they like, they love, and they, so yeah, you gotta be open-minded, and you gotta constantly tracking what's happening in the industry.
Yeah.
And I think what would be a good advice for the founders. So if you're going to the competitive market, that you need to offer some kind of USPs. But if you're going to the uncharted territory, you can go with a pretty basic game, which shouldn't be something specific. Just because the market will grow, your game will grow there. And then when you will be at the live operations, you will be able to improve your game, by the flowing of time based on the metric. So searching for new niches is always good.
Yeah, I'll leave with one final thought that I have as a serial entrepreneur. Look for your unfair advantage. So like, what does you and your team possess that nobody else out there really does, or it'd be very, very difficult for them to replicate that or to get that? Like I look at Marvel Snap. What was their unfair advantage? Well, they'd all worked together and they built Hearthstone. So they deeply understood that kind of CCG type audience. They knew how to replicate that. They've done that on Overwatch. They're doing it again on their next game that's coming out. So they know how to deeply go in and do this process. So what's your unfair advantage? And sometimes it's knowledge about marketing. It's knowledge about making a certain product. It's a certain tech advantage that you've done. Like everyone has unfair advantages. So do you know yours, and do you know how to apply them in such a way that it's going to like maximize the value that you get out of that?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's very interesting that you brought up Marvel Snap, because we've been doing this thing called Game Drive during this year. I don't know whether you heard about it or not, which is kind of a accelerator / communication platform for founders and investors as well. We've been doing this with, Amazon WS and Game Analytics and some other, and oh Jesus, I forgot. Maybe we go mention that later. But anyway, and some amazing speakers have been helping us out with that. And one of them is Philip Black from Game Economist, right? You've all heard about him, of course. And he has this beautiful talk about gaming hypothesis. Like there's 5 questions you gotta answer first before you start a game studio, or before you start making a game. And so there was a beautiful example. Like one of the reasons, if you're gonna deconstruct that, that Marvel Snap succeeded, right? Apart from the execution and the vision and whatever, the quality of the game, is that,
And the Marvel IP.
of course, 100%. But again, you got to deliver on the AP as well, don't you? And they did. And then another reason was that there was no mobile first CCG on the market like that before. Like Hearthstone and others, they were just ports or adaptation of PC titles. And then a team, of course, skilled, experienced team with a beautiful AP, crazy AP, really, makes a game which is the first mobile first CCG, right? So you gotta, what Dima has said is like I 100% agree. You gotta find, and what you, Tom, say as well, you gotta find that advantage, and you gotta find that beautiful USP of yours, and not just make another game looks like, yeah. So thank you so much. Yeah, the Game Drive is, we do that with Google and Data AI and Amazon WS and Game Analytics and Deconstructor Fun, lots of beautiful people in the industry. So yeah, here you go.
Yeah,
That's
and just one addition. If you haven't seen it, please have a look at the Ben brought presentation at GDC. I think it was 2022. That's one of the best speeches I've ever seen. it's a 1 hour long about how they create Marvel Snap. That's just, superb. I highly recommend it.
All right. Everyone's homework, go listen to the Ben Brody speech if you haven't already. It's fantastic. But thank you all so much for joining us. If folks do have any questions, I'll probably just direct them to the MyGames website and we'll take it from there. But thank you so much.
Tom, thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
It's been a pleasure. If you guys have any questions, just reach out to Dima or me on LinkedIn or MyGames website and emails, whatever. Thank you so much.